Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Are you in need of a private investigator with decades of experience? Crime Curious has teamed up with Corbett Investigations, a top private investigation practice in the greater Indiana area and beyond. Corbett Investigations is run by a former homicide commander of one of the country's most successful homicide units and has put over 400 people in prison for homicide, handled over 1,100 death investigations, and solved 33 cold case murders. Tim Corbett has a whole team behind his services that help him to be successful. They specialize in services like bloodstain analysis, ballistic crime scene reconstruction, and forensic pathology, just to name a few. When you contact Corbett Investigations, you talk with Tim Corbett directly. He is hands-on with every case and can travel anywhere that is needed to get the job done. Corbett Investigations prides itself on honesty, truth, and feet-to-the-ground investigation work and the strength to stand up to whatever is in the way of solving the crime. Corbett Investigations specializes in complex homicide cases, sex offenses, and criminal investigations, old or new. Tim and his team have a reputation for finding witnesses and information that others could not. Contact Corbett Investigations for a free consultation today at 574-229-8115. That's 574-229-8115. You can also check them out on Facebook at Corbett Investigation Services, Inc. Now, on to the show. Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
And Brain Bath Jason.
Brain Bath Jason. We do not have Megan this week. She is on a work conference trip. Let's shake all of our gree-gree. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Okay. We've got it all shooketh.
Not as much sitting around.
There's not. And why is that? Let's tell everybody. We officially...
Because we burned it all.
No. It was a pagan ritual ceremony.
It was a small fire.
No. We are recording. We're coming to you today from our new studio. I have made the decision to move the studio out of my home. Yeah, so we're in a new studio. I don't have to worry about my dogs barking.
Oh, thank God.
Or my kids coming in and saying hi and having to edit that out later. So I'm pretty excited.
Life's going to be easier.
Yeah, I think so. New studio and more room here. This feels good. And Jason, because I knew that I was going to get you as my podcast host this week, I've picked a very special case for you.
Stoked.
You should be, because you're really going to enjoy this. It's actually a Wild West case. And I have some folklore to debunk and some real story to actually tell of Wild Bill Hickok. Do you know of Wild Bill?
I do know of Wild Bill.
Yes. You want to hear his story?
I'd love to hear more.
And how, as history does, some details were perhaps exaggerated about his death toll.
Typically.
Mm-hmm. That was probably exaggerated by a man.
It's like when you ask a guy, for a number,
sure,
it's going to be twice of what it really is.
Right, exactly.
Whether it's inches or women or guys you've killed.
Or you're at the doctor and they ask
how many
you
beers
how
have
many
you
beers
had? That's half.
Mm-hmm.
You cut that in half.
Yes.
At least.
Yes. That actually recently happened to me. My husband took his father to a doctor's appointment, and he's like, I just couldn't even stand to listen to him because how many alcoholic beverages do you have in a week? Oh, none. How many cigarettes do you smoke? Oh, none. And my husband was just like, oh my God.
Just if you lie about it, it's fine. Then you'll just be healthy in your own brain. And
how are they supposed to treat you when you sit there and lie? But this is what we do. Okay, so let me tell you about James Butler Hickok. He was born May 27th, 1837 in Troy Grove, Illinois. His parents, William Alonzo and Polly Butler Hickok, were Quakers and anti-slavery abolitionists. The family participated in the Underground Railroad before the Civil War and even used their home as a station stop. Have you ever been in a home that had a station stop as a
No.
There was one in my hometown where I went to school, and in elementary school we walked to this house and went down into the cellar and like basement. It was so cool. Even then in like 4th grade I recognized like how amazing this was. I would love to go back. Sadly, William Alonzo Hickok died when James was just 15 years old. So to provide for his large family, teenage James took up hunting. He quickly garnered a reputation for being meticulous shot at a young age. So this is where we start to see the evolution of Wild Bill. It was really out of survival.
So he was a good hunter.
He was a good hunter. He was good aim. Knew his way along around a shotgun. It's believed because of his pacifist roots and also because of his steady hand on the pistol that James was able to mold himself into a sort of defender of the bullied and a champion of the oppressed. And I mean, at the time,
It's quite a title.
it is, but at the time, you know, when it sounded to me like he stood up for a lot of black people. I mean, obviously his parents participated in the Underground Railroad, which is amazing. And by age 18, he left home for Kansas Territory, where he joined up with a group of anti-slavery vigilantes known as the Jayhawkers. Here, I know, I see you looking at me like that. Yes, the Jayhawkers.
Isn't that a hockey team?
The Jayhawks
Yeah.
are a hockey team. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I
this
can
is-
only assume. Is there a correlation?
I don't know. I would have to research, but they are called the Jayhawkers. But maybe. Here, James reportedly met 12-year-old William Cody, who later became the infamous Buffalo Bill, as I know you know, and we have covered Buffalo Bill on this show. I think I did that one just for you as well.
I think
If I
so.
remember right. So James soon became a bodyguard for General James Henry Lane, a senator from Kansas and a leader of the abolitionist militia. When the Civil War broke out, James eventually joined up with the Union and acted as a teamster and a spy. But not before, this is so freaking random, and I feel like what happened to me. I'm on an important mission, and then he gets attacked by a bear on a hunting expedition. Of all the freaking things in the Wild West that can kill you, or the Wild Midwest at this point in time, that can kill you during the Civil War, he gets attacked by a bear. So now he's still a part of the Civil War, but he's actively sitting out to recover from being attacked by a bear. While healing from his injuries, he was briefly employed with the Pony Express, and he cared for the stock at a facility in Rock Creek, Nebraska. And it was here in 1861 where the legend of Wild Bill Hickok first emerged. A notorious bully named David McCandless. Let's try it again. Life gives you second chances. I'm going to take it right now. His name was David McCandless. Wasn't even that complicated, but somehow I could not create the words out of my mouth.
So McCandless was a bully.
McCandless is a big bully, and he's he's a notorious bully. So he's a famous asshole. Yeah. And he had demanded funds from the station manager that he simply didn't have at the Pony Express. All right. So he's trying to rob the place, in other words, the post office, whatever. It's rumored that at some point during the confrontation, David referred to James as Duck Bill because of his pointy nose and protruding lips.
Oh, dear.
It's just not nice.
Oh.
That's not nice.
I'm sure I've seen pictures, but now I really need to
Okay, look the pictures up. Yep. The argument soon escalated into violence because, a man's just not going to stand for being called Duck Bill.
Oh, dear.
Is it bad? Is it protruding?
He does kind of have a big upper lip.
Let's see.
He's got a narrow nose and a big upper lip.
Okay, well, we can't have it all.
Now, keep in mind, the photos that were taken 160 years ago aren't great.
Sure.
And my phone is doing all kinds of weird shit right now. But I mean,
Sure.
he has very sharp features and like a wide, not quite, oh God.
Words are hard.
Lead singer Queen. Freddie Mercury. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not quite the overbite that Freddie Mercury had, but like a very wide, narrow mouth with a big upper lip.
Yep.
So he does kind of look like a duck.
I can see why he may have attacked when he had nothing else left, right? Then he attacked his features.
Right.
As he's pretty tall. He looked, not that I can really tell from that
Yeah.
photo.
He was supposedly
he did look pretty tall.
Quite tall.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's what I had read too, is that he was, I mean, you have to have some kind of stature to be a little bit intimidating anyway. So here they are after being called Duck Bill. Of course, now we're going to be violent because we're just not going to put up with that. And James allegedly pulled out a gun and shot David right there dead on the spot. So like, don't call him Duck Bill.
Yeah.
The thing is though, is that as much as there's rumor about the Wild West and, you know, that murdering was legal and all this stuff, it really wasn't.
Yeah.
You really couldn't do those things.
I mean, if you had a good reason and there were witnesses, you'd get away with it more often than not. But you can't just go around just willy-nilly shooting
purging people.
Right.
Yeah, it's a shame. But he does get charged with trial. No, he does get charged for murder. And he ends up getting acquitted of all charges, mostly because the whole jury knew what an asshole David McCannels was, right? He was a notorious town bully. I think that none of them gave a shit that he was gone.
Yeah, no one was going to miss him.
No. And so they're just like, well, yeah, he started it. He called you Duck Bill. He was trying to rob the Pony Express.
That too.
So he was committing a crime. So then, you know, James just went ahead and ended the crime. But he was acquitted. So as Megan would say, he was tried by a jury of his peers. And so there are our opinions of whether it was right or wrong are moot. It's like a cow's opinion. It's a moot point. All right. So to the people of Rock Creek, Nebraska, though, there was no Wild Bill Hickok. Only a soft-voiced, sweet man named James Hickok. It's believed that David McCannels was the first man that James had ever killed, and that that had been in self-defense. That's how he got off from it. James reportedly felt so awful about it that he apologized profusely to David's widow and gave her every penny that he had on him. So he was not just willy-nilly killing. From that day forward, James would never be the same again. The man that the town thought they knew was dead. As one of his neighbors put it, he became a, quote, a drunken, swaggering fellow who delighted when on a spree to frighten nervous men and timid women, end quote. So in other words, he became an alcoholic after murdering a man and likely only embraced his new fearsome persona when drunk and annoyed by others.
So word got out that he killed a bully.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so everyone knew who he was.
Yes, and everyone is talking about him and fearing him. You know what I mean?
And I'm sure that story got embellished every time it played the telephone game down the line.
Right, exactly. And he was feeling such immense guilt from having defended himself and murdering this man that he didn't want to be a hero for it. And so it sounded like he only would kind of go on like this spree of trying to frighten people. He could tell which people, like the nervous men and the timid women. So people who acted like afraid around him. That was probably annoying as shit. When he gets this reputation that he didn't want, and then people are acting all scared of him. And when he's drunk, then he played into it.
Sure.
You know, which, okay. After James fully recovered from his hunting injuries, because remember, all of this happened after he was in the Civil War and he was attacked by a bear. So he was in Rock Creek just working for the Pony Express and trying to recover. And that's when all of this happened. So things aren't, nothing's really working out well for him. He probably expected to die in the war, not get attacked by a bear, then end up becoming some town's hero because he took out their bully in an act of self-defense. Because he was good at at shooting a gun from losing his dad at 15 and having to provide for the family. Right. So he recovers from these hunting injuries, and he goes back with the Jayhawkers in the Union Army until the Civil War ended. Around that same time, the marksman picked up a bad habit of gambling, probably goes along with the alcoholism that he was also partaking in, it was the gambling that landed him in a historic duel at the center of town in Springfield, Missouri. So, this is now called the original Wild West Showdown, where Wild Bill Hickok came face to face with a former Confederate soldier named Davis Tutt. Some believe the two first became enemies over lingering Civil War tensions, because remember, David was a Confederate. So, while others think that they may have been competing for the same woman's affection. So this was just a display of feathers and whose cock is bigger. Either way, what started out as a small argument between the two over a watch and a poker debt somehow escalated into a deadly gunfight, with James Hickok emerging victorious. He's the better shot. One witness later said that, quote, I have to tell you a funny story about doing this research. This is the quote from the witness. "His ball went through Dave's heart," end quote. But don't you know it, I had to read the sentence 3 times to understand that it did not say his balls went through Dave's heart. And I don't even know why. But the way it's written, with the apostrophe S on Dave's name, my brain just put that S at the end of the word ball.
Convenient dyslexia.
His balls went through Dave's heart. He's that big of a dude. His balls
just
killed him.
Smashed him in the chest with his balls.
I'm sorry, and I knew.
Wild Balls Hickok.
Wild Balls Bill Hickok. Honestly, that wouldn't be a bad title. It all makes sense. He literally has, it's Hickok. It's spelled Hick, okay, but it's Hickok. But it still sounds like you're saying cock, so. I'm
just concerned why you thought that if you read it once, then a second time, like, did this happen?
I'm not kidding you. My dyslexia truly fucked with me so bad because I was like, oh, his balls went through Dave's heart. Wait, no, that can't be right. His balls went through Dave's heart.
Wild West was a crazy place.
By the third time, it's like, Charnell, it says his ball, meaning the bullet.
Yeah.
The bullet that's shaped kind of like a ball went through Dave's heart. And I don't know what type of bullets he was using because there are different pellets. I
think then there was, by that point, they were using revolvers like you would see with normal looking bullets like you and I know.
Yeah.
I think they were past the flintlock ball, lead ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
pistol,
so too.
like those are pirate shit.
Right.
I mean, they did use those in the Civil War. But I think at some point in Hickok's life, they probably did use normal revolvers.
I agree. And I think, too, that just the normal vernacular and not vernacular, but language that you would say, description for a bullet would be the slang. That is the word I'm looking for. Sorry, guys. I can't get past this whole sentence, apparently. But the slang for a bullet would be ball. And so, just when you're going along doing research, and I knew when I put it in here that I was going to have to tell you the story and that I might accidentally say it wrong, which I did. My brain tried to do it again.
It's okay.
But regardless, with the witness saying that his ball went through Dave's heart, it is believed that this was one of history's first quick draw duels that was recorded. A marksman, a deadly shot, had killed again. When the reports came rolling into town, Wild Bill Hickok resolved to craft a new identity for himself as the toughest gunfighter in the Wild West. So there's this man named George Nichols, and he had caught wind of the quick draw duel. And he decided, I am going to do an interview with Wild Bill Hickok in Springfield, Missouri, and I'm gonna make this a story. Now, James was put on trial for this quick duel as well, but he also was set free by this jury because the jurors ruled it as a fair fight. They both had guns drawn. He just was the one to shoot first. Now, Mr. Nichols was not planning on writing anything more than a short piece, and he found the jury ruling rather odd because of the way that they were fighting over a gambling debt. Like it wasn't necessarily self-defense. In other words, like the first one, there's a dude robbing the Pony Express and he stopped it and then defended himself. In this one, this is an argument. This is like the equivalent of a freaking bar fight where someone ends up murdered.
Well, in my experience of watching Westerns,
that is where your context comes from. Sure.
Well, but if everyone was armed. Everyone carried a gun.
Yeah.
And if you were in a town or in a saloon where you were allowed to have a gun on you and someone was running their mouth, if they got up and reached, like if they even put their hand on their gun and you shot them, then everyone would be like, yeah, he was going for his gun.
Right.
Like it's
self-defense because he was going for his gun.
It was pretty gray as far as getting away with killing people, but like you couldn't just willy-nilly shoot an unarmed man and then I would be like, dude, he didn't even have a gun on him.
Right.
And then
or shoot a guy in the back.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the extent of their
law
legal process.
Their parameters for legality.
Like one drunk guy's like, oh yeah, he went for his gun. I'm like, all right, fuck it, you're free to go.
Right. Well, and this Nichols is like, well, I find this really odd because they were fighting over a gambling debt and then all of a sudden do this quick draw. And there's a lot of sensation over how fast he drew his gun and aimed right at his heart. I mean, that's where the whole eyewitness, his bullet, his balls went right through his heart that quick. Like he drew and aimed that fast. And that, okay, all right, that does draw some sensation. I can see where that might bring some curiosity. So what ends up happening, he thinks he's just going to do a short piece about the odd jury ruling and how fast, he drew his gun and shot through the heart. Shot through the heart. But sorry, I don't own the rights to that music.
Yeah, sorry, John Bon Jovi.
Right. So he sits down with Wild Bill Hickok and he listened to him spin his tales. And at this point in time, Mr. Nichols became enthralled. He said that Hickok knew that he could be a sensation. Regardless of how much of his story was actually true, the infamous article was published in an 1867 issue of Harper's Weekly. And the article read, quote, Wild Bill with his own hands has killed hundreds of men. Of that, I have not a doubt. Period. He shoots to kill. End quote. So what happens is, I think...
Power of the media.
Right? And here's an early representation of how we can just take one small piece of information, exaggerate it, blow it completely out of proportion and make it something that it's not. I think for Wild Bill, remember in psychologically thinking back to how he never really wanted this title, right? He had guilt over the first person that he killed in self-defense. I think now he is just like, fuck it, man.
Right.
He's drinking. He's gambling. People are scared of him anyway. Let me embrace this. Let's see how far we can go with this and manipulate the people because they're going to think this of me regardless. I might as well embrace it and become it. So he tells Nichols these sensational stories that Nichols himself knows are not true, but he doesn't care because he wants to sell newspapers. This is probably the most exciting thing that he's covered since, stick butter. I don't know, but this is what happens. The article was later credited with turning Wild Bill Hickok into a household name. Hickok soon became a symbol of the Wild West, as he was thought to be a man so feared that people shook whenever he came into town. So people know when he's rolling into town, his name's getting smeared everywhere, and they're terrified. So in other words, kind of reminds me of Tombstone. It's just like, oh, all right, they're all here, and now I better get my act straight or else he'll kill me.
Yeah.
In reality, James Hickok's body count was probably far lower than hundreds, and to the people who knew him, he wasn't nearly as fearsome as he seemed on paper. But there's no doubt that he was a talented gunslinger and that he was involved in a few famous gunfights. Indeed, when the article came out, the people of Rock Creek, remember Rock Creek where he went to heal from his bear stuff? They were shocked and believed the story really should have been in what was called at the time the editor's drawer, which is where all the fabricated funnyism stories were at. So the Rock Creek people who really felt like they knew him, because they did. He defended them from the Pony Express robber, right? Their town bully. Oh, I just hit my whole mouth.
You're a freaking mess today.
Oh my God, I have no explanation for
Face
myself.
planted into the microphone.
How did that even happen? It's like a first day. I've never talked into this microphone before. I was just trying to shift my little butt in this seat and I knocked my teeth on the microphone. I'm so sorry. But anyway, so people in Rock Creek just didn't believe any of what they were reading because they knew the real Wild Bill. So after the duel with Davis Tutt, Wild Bill met up with his friend, Buffalo Bill, on tour with General William Tecumseh Sherman. I didn't realize until putting these two stories together that we have Wild Bill and Buffalo Bill together. And I'm not sure why that just escaped my memory, because I know that I have heard the fables. I grew up with that. I watched Westerns. How did that escape me of oh, why are both of their names Bill?
Well, one wasn't.
Well, Wild Bill, right? I know, but where?
So did this reporter, journalist guy, whatever he is, did he just coin the name Wild Bill?
Yeah, he just started calling him,
even though his name is James.
His name is James, but his father's name was William.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so we get Wild Bill. I mean, it's a persona.
Sure.
Yeah. So here, Wild Bill, he's getting connected with his friend Buffalo Bill on a tour with General William Tecumseh Sherman, and he became a guide for General Hancock's 1867 campaign against the Cheyenne. While there, he also met Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer, who described James very reverently as one of the most perfect types. I love this quote. This is my favorite quote, and I'm going to use it probably for Channing Tatum from now on. One of the most perfect types of physical manhood that I ever saw.
Wow.
End quote. Yeah. So George Custer, Colonel Custer, he loved him some Wild Bill.
Jeez.
Hickok.
It's awkward.
One of the most perfect types of physical manhood that I ever saw. Just sometime when you're needing a compliment from Nancy, you go ahead and use that one. Aren't I just the most perfect type of physical manhood that you ever saw, Nancy?
I think we'd get the your response we'd expect.
Oh, yeah. For a time, Wild Bill Hickok and Buffalo Bill put on an outdoor gunslinging demonstrations. Now, these are what we are, most, I think, familiar with in their life stories, right? And these demonstrations featured Native Americans, buffaloes, and sometimes monkeys. The shows were ultimately a failure, but they helped contribute to Wild Bill Hickok's growing reputation in the Wild West. Ever traveling, Wild Bill eventually made his way to Hays, Kansas, and there he was elected as the county sheriff of Ellis County. But he killed 2 men within the first month alone as sheriff, sparking controversy. You can't just roll into town, not really know the people, and start killing them. Turns out, no matter how wild the West is, they frown upon that. The first person was town drunk Bill Mulvey, and he had caused a ruckus about Wild Bill's move to their county. He didn't want him there. I mean, what town drunk does want the most famous gunslinger in the West in their town, right? So, in response, allegedly, Wild Bill shot a bullet into the back of his brain. Now that's not good.
It's frowned upon.
Yeah, he wasn't able to defend himself. He wasn't even facing him. Bad form, man. Shortly thereafter, a second man was gunned down by the quick-handed sheriff for talking trash.
Fuck around and find out.
They were figuring out. He is embodying the entire persona that everyone wanted from him.
That's what they wanted.
That is, and so he's giving it to him.
And you're gonna run your mouth at Wild Bill,
right?
Like
you're gonna get
they knew who he
Wild
was.
Bill.
They knew who he was.
Yep.
Then he wanted to find you.
So he within the first month he's got that controversy, but it's said that within his first 10 months as sheriff, Wild Bill Hickok killed 4 people before he was finally asked to leave.
Please leave, kind sir.
Please leave. You're killing too many of us. We're still trying to populate the
business.
world. It sure is. You're taking all of our men, town drunk or not.
Right. So it's his count up to like 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. There's four people. Yes, realistically,
if you kill 6 people, someone's going to know your name.
Yeah.
But
to have the stories say that you've killed hundreds.
This is the same that goes, like, I've done homework and documentaries on Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
Who they're like, oh my God, he killed He killed like 4 people.
Right.
Like, I think that's a maximum.
Sure.
And they're like, he may have pulled his gun, but I think he only killed 4 people.
Now, usually on this podcast, when we talk about somebody killing 6 people, we call them serial killers. We do. The Wild West times, isn't that just kind of funny? The way, like the difference, the way that we categorize people.
He wasn't sneaking around hiding it either.
He was not.
Again, it's like, listen, this is how we do shit. And you call me Duck Bill and I shoot you in the face.
Right.
And then it's like, sorry.
You talk trash about me.
Right.
And
He wasn't hiding it. He wasn't secretive.
Nope. You complain about you're a town drunk and you complain about me being in the town. I guess I'm just going to shoot you in the back of the head.
What number equates a mass murderer?
I don't know that there's an actual number on it. I just know serial killers are denoted as 3 or more unrelated killings.
He didn't. I don't know. I guess you could argue that his killings were consistent in their MO.
They were? Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I hate to pull at this thread because all murder is wrong. We all know that. Right. But it doesn't sound like he has murdered anybody that's been an upstanding citizen.
Right.
Contributing to society in a healthy way.
That's probably why no one, other than him being asked to leave the town sheriff, they're like, this isn't working out. But
let me be clear.
Big picture.
Not condoning it.
Big picture. No one was really complaining a lot.
Right.
So they weren't missing these guys that he killed. Like there's not a lot of people mourning over their loss.
No, he paid the one widow. He felt so bad.
Yeah, well,
and
that was the first one.
Robbing.
Yeah. That guy was a bad person.
Yeah.
And then the other were kind of just assholes. But I mean, it doesn't mean you should just go around shooting people.
You can't. You cannot, guys.
I mean,
you
back
cannot
then,
shoot every asshole you meet.
There's not enough bullets.
No. It wouldn't be good. He next sets his sight on Abilene, Kansas, where he served as the town's marshal here. During this time, Abilene had a reputation as a tough town, and it already had a legendary gunfighter of its own, John Wesley Hardin. So tensions were bound to flare between him and Hickok. I feel like I've covered Hardin in a bonus episode as well, I think. If not, I definitely researched him a bit and contemplated it. Now, this kerfuffle happened when a salon owner named Phil Coe.
Salon or saloon?
Oh, did I say salon?
You did.
Oh, it's 100% saloon.
Okay.
It's spelled correctly
because
in my
notes. Because a bunch
notes.
of cowboys in a salon would be fucking weird. That's a whole nother episode.
It sure is. I'm just going to leave that error in there because that's funny. That my eyes
clarify for the listeners.
Nope, definitely saloon.
They weren't getting their hair done in
were not.
perms and then just start shooting.
Nope. But the saloon owner.
That's definitely a place where people get shot.
Yes. Well, Phil Coe, he was upset. I think you're going to like Phil.
What's Phil's last name?
Phil Coe.
That's what I thought you said.
Phil Coe. COE.
Sounds like a gas station.
It does so much.
Let's stop at Philco.
I have to actually go and get some gas after this. So I'm
At
going
Citgo.
to stop at this.
Not at Philco, but at
Philco.
Citgo.
From now on, though, it's
It's
now a Philco.
It's Philco.
It's Philco. And it is spelled Phil, not Fill, but it could be Philco. Philco upset the town. And you want to know what he did, Jay?
Fuck, I can't even imagine at this point.
Well, because he wanted to bring a little artistic talent to the town, he did so by drawing a bull with a massive erect penis on the wall of his saloon. Let's just golf clap.
That really happened? Like, that's the document.
Yes, honey. Yes.
There's graffitiing dicks in the Old West.
He drew the whole bull. It wasn't just the penis.
Well,
But here he is just trying to bring some vigor in artistic culture to this little town of, where are we at? Abilene, Kansas. And people took offense. You know, the pearl clutchers.
Mormons.
The pearl clutchers they couldn't handle the massive
Brigham
erect
Young
penis.
was like, hey, we can't have pictures of bull dicks.
We cannot.
Sorry, that was Utah.
So
Way
it
off.
was, you know.
Same people.
Kansas, Utah, okay. But, so Wild Bill, he's the marshal in town, remember? He made him take it down. And so Phil Coe, which now is forever a gas station in my mind, Phil Coe swore his revenge, Jay. So he and his friends tried to hire John Wesley Hardin to take out Wild Bill Hickok. Okay? Because John Hardin he's a legendary gunslinger of his own.
They're like, hey, can we give you $20 to kill the marshal?
Yeah.
Why? Well, he made us take down our art.
Our erection art. Our art erection.
What was the art? It was a bull with a boner. Yeah, I'm going to fucking kill Wild Bill now.
Yeah, because
I'll do it for free.
Everybody wants a bull with a boner.
Bullshit.
That's right. Ironically enough, they left the shit part out of the bull. There was no bullshit. It was just entire erections. I also wish that
more than one.
Oh no! I mean, I think it only had one. It wasn't some sort of Greek god bull. It was just a bull.
Bull orgy, because that's offensive.
Yeah, that's too much. That's where we cross the
pushing
line,
it.
right? Even for the Wild West. All right, so Hardin is like, sure, I'll be your Huckleberry. I'll take Wild Bill down. Except he's like, he had absolutely no problem taking their money, but he had no interest whatsoever in pulling a gun on Wild Bill. He just made them believe that he was going to. He made a fake commotion in the middle of town, knowing that Wild Bill Hickok, since he's the marshal, would come along. And so he did. Wild Bill comes along. He tells him to hand over his pistols. Hardin pretended to surrender and instead managed to get Hickok at gunpoint. So now Wild Bill is at gunpoint. But remember, this is all a ruse. He has no intention of shooting him. He's not really going to kill him.
Wild Bill doesn't know that. It's a
Horrible
plan.
Wild Bill does not
This
know
is
that.
a terrible plan.
This man has a reputation of his own, and you have created a fake commotion.
When you pull a gun on him, you better plan on shooting him.
The marshal of the town, let us not forget that Wild Bill is the town's marshal. Hickok, though, was not at all deterred by being held at gunpoint. He laughed. He says to John Hardin, quote, "You are the gamiest and quickest boy I ever saw," end quote. He told Hardin and invited him out for a drink. Hardin was charmed, and instead of killing him, he ended up becoming one of Wild Bill's friends. He appreciated his, he could recognize another comrade of the trade.
He just stood there dead-eyed and like, You got balls. You want to go drink with me?
Yeah, you pulled out.
It's
Boy,
like, yeah, okay.
boy, you pulled that out really fast. What say
That's
you
what
and I
she
go
said.
get a drink? God. Suddenly we're back to the erection. When Hardin refused to take down Wild Bill, Philco had no choice but to take him down on his own. He put his plan into motion on October 5th, 1871. Coe got a group of cowboys drunk and rowdy enough to fight and allowed them to spill out of his saloon and into the streets, knowing that Wild Bill Hickok would soon come out to see what was happening. And of course he did, because he's the marshal. He spotted Phil Coe. He ordered him to hand over his gun before he could get involved, before Phil would get involved. Coe tried to pull the gun on him instead, like on Wild Bill. But as soon as the gun started to spin, Wild Bill Hickok shot him dead. No more Phil Coe, no more massive bull erections on the side of his saloon.
Problem solved.
Yeah. A figure rushed, and this is like truly the saddest part of his whole life story. A figure rushed toward Wild Bill, and as the marshal, he was still, keyed up from shooting Coe, right? He was still not sure how many people were on Coe's side here and what they may try. So Wild Bill turned and fired really quickly, only to discover that he had shot one of his deputies that was running through the crowd to help him. But it's dark. It's the West. That's a different type of dark. Yeah, that was the last bullet that Wild Bill Hickok would ever shoot to kill. For the rest of his life, he would be tortured by the memory of making his way through the crowd and seeing the man that he shot down as Mike Williams, his deputy. And on August 2nd, 1876, so this is 5 years later, Wild Bill Hickok died a sudden, violent death while gambling in a saloon in Deadwood, South Dakota. He was playing cards with his back to the door, which surprises me, actually, and he had no clue that he was about to be murdered. Jack McCall, a drunk who had lost money to Wild Bill the day before, stormed in with his pistol, approached Wild Bill Hickok from behind, and shot him dead on the spot. The bullet went through Wild Bill's cheek. McCall then tried to shoot others in the saloon, but incredibly, none of the other cartridges worked. It was they misfired. After Wild Bill Hickok died, a pair of aces and a pair of eights were found in his hands, and this would later become known as the dead man's hand, which for the card players out there, they know that. Now, McCall was initially acquitted of the murder, but when he moved to Wyoming and began to brag about how he had taken down Wild Bill Hickok, the county there decided to retry him again. And Hickok's killer was ultimately found guilty, hanged, and buried with the noose still around his neck. Isn't that fascinating?
It
that
is.
Another county could try him because he went into their county and was bragging about his... I mean, you couldn't do that today. But.
So there's a series, Deadwood. I don't know if you've watched it.
Haven't watched it.
Fabulous.
Is it? Okay.
Timothy Oliphant's in it. Love him. It's about the Old West. It's about Deadwood.
Yep.
A lot of it is obviously fictionalized,
Sure.
just Old West stuff. But Wild Bill is a character in the series, playing Wild Bill Hickok. Keith Carradine.
Oh, I didn't know he played him. Okay.
It was very good, and he's a tall guy, and the character, they did a really good job of it because the actor and character portray just as described. Kind of a big, tall guy, very quiet, just knows people are afraid of him, but also clearly like carrying some inner demons.
Yeah.
And like all he wants to do is have some whiskey, play some cards, and fuck off.
Right.
Leave him the
And
fuck alone.
Be left alone.
And they like kind of Oliphant's the sheriff, and he kind of wants him to get involved. He's like, I'm not getting involved in your problems.
Right.
Like, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
I've
already been the sheriff.
Leave me alone.
I've already been the marshal somewhere.
And
yeah.
like, but he's also like, can't stand evil people. Like he can't sit back and just watch people be rotten. And to the point where like they have Calamity Jane as a character on the show. Yeah. I have no idea if it's historically accurate that her and Wild Bill were friends or knew each other or anything. So I think it's kind of pieced together. Some of it's historically quote unquote accurate. But like they portray her as this, like as a lesbian. and like almost to the point where she pretends to be a man and gets away with it. And it's like this whole thing, and everyone kind of ostracises her because it's 1860s.
Well, right. Yeah.
Or 70s.
70s. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so it's a graphic, violent show.
Okay.
But it's really, really good. But the scene where he is shot in the back or in the back of the head, is a whole part of that series, and it's just as described.
Yeah.
So they kind of threw that in there, but it's a just listening to you describe how people would describe his personality and character and things, it's like spot on. They did a great job of it.
Well, and after doing this research, I was fascinated by, I couldn't find where he killed people that were like good people. So you saying that how they kind of personified him in that show is that he had zero tolerance for assholes.
Yeah.
That really seems to track with his actual quote unquote murder count.
His body count, none of those people were innocent.
No, nor were they. They also started it.
Right.
Like I hate to be the toddler that's throwing
that
out there.
He wasn't a criminal like Billy the Kid.
No.
I mean, he wasn't a criminal. He didn't just shoot people for sport or fun or entertainment.
Right.
But like, again, it was a fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Like, don't bother me. And if you do, I'm gonna shoot you.
And then kind of took some of that fame and used it to his advantage of people being afraid of him and whatnot, but it also, I think, drew some problems for him. But that's where he was a sheriff and a marshal and things like that. He clearly wanted law and order, not just this vicious mayhem.
Yeah, he wasn't a vigilante or like you said, just a gunfighter. He wanted.
Well, for crying out loud, he was trying to end slavery.
Right.
Like, and
again, from the get go, he couldn't stand by when people were doing horrible crap or just being assholes.
Yeah. Yeah. So turns out I like Wild Bill Hickok.
Yeah.
There's
not a lot to dislike about it.
No.
I mean, knowing what we know from
history,
from what we can tell, that's not made up.
Yes, exactly. His body count was not hundreds.
Right.
Of that is completely evident. Nor was it just, in my opinion, like from what I could tell anyway, willy nilly.
They always have blown up those numbers for body counts for the Old West cowboys.
Yes.
Like Wyatt Earp, I think he might have killed 2 people.
Yeah.
He just, but people are afraid of him. So they're like,
let's give him something to be afraid of.
Right.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. This was just for
Loved
you.
it.
I mean, and for the public, of course, too.
Yeah,
But they're here too, Jay.
Right. For the people who are actually listening, who are paying to listen to this,
Yes,
it's for you.
It's for you guys. But anyway, brain bath time. Yes.
Yeah.
Shall we do one? All right. I have a news article for you that is from 2012. But I was intrigued by the headline. It says 911 sex talk. Oklahoma City man, 72, arrested for talking dirty to operators. That's not what 911 is for, sir.
So he called emergency dispatch and
Sure did, but I got to show you
got
his
dirty.
picture.
Yep, that tracks. Yeah.
Oh, bless his heart. Bless his heart.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say there may have been some substance abuse involved.
Perhaps, or just...
Or mental illness.
Age... eating the brain. I don't know, but he seems confused even in the picture. He
looks like he has a neurological parasite.
Yeah.
And that did something to his brain.
It's the hair for me.
It's
patchy.
It's current Nick Nolte.
Places. Oh my gosh, it is. Wow. Yep. Let me read you this article. It's from CBSNews.com.
Oh, legit.
Yes. Oklahoma City police in Oklahoma City say they arrested a 72-year-old man after he allegedly called 911 operators to talk about sex. In a report, police accuse Clyde Doran Hobbs. Yes, that's the right name. That's it. That says it. Of calling 911 at least 17 times in one day. The report says that Hobbs made sexual comments to the emergency operators each time he called. And according to KWTV, the police report states that officers arrived at Hobbs' home. He was very belligerent and rude. Police say that this is not the first time they've arrested Hobbs for using 911 inappropriately. The Oklahoman reports this is the third time he's been arrested for this type of incident. At what point in time do we just not take his right to have a telephone away from him?
I gotta ask.
You can't do that, by the way. But
who do they have answering their phones?
911, how may we help you?
What's your emergency?
That's horrible.
And then he called. Maybe there was a problem, and then that person answered was like, 911. How can I help you? And he's like, oh snap. So my problem is, I got this.
Can I lend you a hand?
Boner, and I have nowhere to put it.
Right. Oh, poor Clyde Doran Hobbs. Not poor. Don't do that. Not poor Clyde. No, I kind of feel sorry for him.
No,
I'm vacillating back and forth because he's 72. He hasn't.
Vacillating?
Yeah, it's a word.
Is
Yeah,
it?
teeter-tottering.
Like Vaseline?
No. Come on, Clyde. Get your head out of the gutter.
I mean, Clyde looks rough. He looks like he just got out.
Clyde doesn't use Vaseline. No, his hair, it's the hair for me that was like, it's patchy bald, so it's bald in some spots, and then he tried to make up for it by growing it out real long in other spots, and it didn't work.
Well,
and
he's got eyes like a chameleon, where one is going around in circles and the other one's looking forward.
Yeah, and I think in the police kerfuffle, he may have, messed it up a little bit, but yeah. This is his third offense. This is his third time. I want to know what he said.
I want the transcript for 911 from Oklahoma City.
Well, we could probably look up the police. The police report might be public record. And I don't know that it's appropriate to share on a general audience
Probably
episode.
not. I mean, that just might be from our own personal
entertainment.
Yeah.
Why? Because you need to take notes on how to talk dirty to Nancy.
No, I just want to know what not to say if I ever have to call 911.
Yeah, good call.
Don't want anything misconstrued.
Anything that Clyde said was what's not to say to 911. To talk sex.
Yeah, he's like, what's up, hot lips?
Right.
Like,
no.
Sarah, what's your emergency? I want it.
I'm horny. That's my emergency.
Have it. Actually, Clyde probably sounded more like, I want to have it. Give it to me.
You're right. That is exactly how Clyde sounded. Good God. All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening today. We hope that you keep it curious.
Keep listening.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.